Welcome to our panel discussion on the integration of hydrogen in logistics processes and supply chains. I'm very happy to be able to welcome three distinctive experts on this topic, two of them here live on stage, one virtually due to all kinds of circumstances. But I'm happy that we could organize it like that and that we can have this discussion. And as usual, with your input, please ask questions, vote questions, and participate in a small poll that we will have in a few minutes to make this a very interactive and interesting discussion. So, how to integrate hydrogen into logistics processes and supply chains at large scale, I would say. How to scale up, how can we build the system, grow the system, and integrate. We will have these three experts right next to me. Joachim Heider, the Executive Director of the region Northeast On-Site and Bulk Germany from Linde. Welcome,
Thank you.
Joachim. Then Falk Schulte-Winthrop, the Head of Product and Project Development at H2 Mobility Deutschland. Welcome, Falk. And virtually to the very right, we see Beat Hirschi, the CEO of Hyundai Hydrogen Mobility. Welcome, Beat.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good, we can hear you. So in our first round, I would like to ask our three experts to make some kind of short introductory statement. We go from upstream, basically downstream, the value chain, on your companies, on your involvement currently in building up kind of supply chain logistics, applications, and the whole network, and what the current status and current view of yours is. Maybe I'll start with you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, at Linde, we are basically covering the whole value chain in the hydrogen economy. So starting with the production of the molecules, either conventionally or also green molecules already. And then we are distributing the hydrogen either in gaseous or liquid form or via pipeline to the customers, where they can use the hydrogen in the respective applications like hydrogen refilling stations or like test stations for test applications. And I think in the area of logistics and driving up the market, we are more and more focusing on heavy-duty applications. I'm sure you've heard the big train project in Bremervörde. So this was the world's first hydrogen filling station for publicly operated trains. It's a nice project which we realized with our partners Alstom and LMVG, the Landesnahverkehrsgesellschaft Niedersachsen. And also, of course, we are focusing on mobility. I mean, next to me, H2 Mobility is sitting, and we are partners in this company where we try to build up a station network in Germany, and we are more and more focusing on the truck side where we see a good use for hydrogen applications.
Okay, thank you. Yes, handing over. You've already been addressed, basically, Falk.
Yeah, perfect. Well, H2 Mobility Germany is operating and building up hydrogen refilling stations all over Germany. We are the largest operator of hydrogen refilling stations worldwide. So last year we handled over 100,000 refuelings in Germany, so quite a bit of transactions. Me and my team are developing station concepts together with cities, with public transport operators, but also logistics companies to have a complete business case from day one onwards. One of the larger projects we are currently commissioning is in the Rhein-Neckar region, where over 48 buses are coming to the road in the next 12 months. Fueling at 3 of our stations. So this is like a complete system where we try to also have the best hydrogen conditions, prices, and the best availability ready.
Okay, thank you very much. And then we move on to Beat. Please,
Yeah,
your involvement and current status. Please go ahead.
Last but not least, I mean, Joachim already said it, partners, we all cover like this value chain. Last there's the truck. Well, that's what we cover as Hyundai Hydrogen Mobility. We are responsible for the rollout of heavy trucks, heavy duty trucks, everything above 5 tons. We offer the rigid truck, and well, that's basically it. We bring customers together, make sure that after sales is covered, We are acting quite a bit as a startup, but having the heavy backup of Hyundai, the Hyundai Motor Group. So we are after a successful start in Switzerland. We are now almost mid-year, almost operating 100 trucks in Germany, and you know we need the midstream and the downstream and the green hydrogen, the molecules. So we are sitting here as one team, and I think that's important also in this supply chain thought which we all talk about today.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for the introductory statements. As I already announced, we would like to involve you early on and maybe then also kind of set the stage for topics to discuss here with our experts. And the question that you are supposed to answer now is, what are the main challenges from your point of view of integrating hydrogen into logistics processes and supply chains at large scale? Please type in one word, as the result will be shown, illustrated as a word cloud. And you, of course, please also type in words that you already see, because these words then will become bigger and larger and will become topics to discuss here. So if I had asked you the question to name the top three, what would you have said, Joachim?
Top three, I mean, I see the first term coming up, it's the infrastructure. I think that's pretty true, yeah, because either whether you want to use hydrogen for trucks or for trains or for passenger cars, the infrastructure is the key element. I would also say when it comes to the production of green hydrogen, I think it's very important that we have, especially in Germany, affordable green power, because this is the main enabler for producing economical green hydrogen. Yeah, and I would say the third topic we really need is that we need vehicles. Yeah, either whether it's in the passenger car area or even the truck area. I think it's very important that more and more of these vehicles are deployed, because then the utilization of the stations really increases.
Okay, we need vehicles. Maybe then we ask Beat next. What would you see as the major challenges, and will you provide more vehicles, something like 700 bar trucks also in Europe?
Yes, we would be ready. Now it's this chicken egg discussion. I see the infrastructure gets bigger and bigger, but I think it's having the trucks and the infrastructure that both go in the same time. I mean, why is infrastructure so big? It's because the infrastructure is not there where it should be today, if you ask us, because we would have the trucks ready. I mean, the production is up running. We have some mass-produced trucks, so that's not the issue, not the question. I mean, it's the right decision today that the invest has to go into infrastructure, but the trucks and safety and all other elements, I think they're very important as well.
Okay, thank you. Well, the infrastructure is needed for.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, first of all, one point that I'm missing in this scheme here is offtake agreements. Yeah, so we are coming into the phase where we and also other actors in the market build infrastructure up. So by doing so, you invest huge amounts of capex, and you need to be sure that you at the end have the demand to reach the operational costs, but also, at the end, the investment you did. So this is very important that you have a plannable demand in the future. This is also very important when it comes to the purchase of green hydrogen, because as a company, I have to also give the security to the hydrogen producers that the demand is coming, so that Linde and others can invest also in their infrastructure. So this is very important that we have a closed shop where we have a plannable demand to have this whole value chain up and running. The infrastructure in Germany, I would assume, is at least for this year not a problem. We will have roughly 45 stations till mid of this year in operations for 350 bars trucks. This enables early customers to test this technology, but it was really important to do also the next steps for large hydrogen stations who can also generate profits at the end, and to lower the cost for the hydrogen customers, because Currently, it's testing. It's not all about TCO, but in the future it will be, and hydrogen need to be able to compete with battery electric trucks. And this is something we are working on every day.
Yes. Okay. Good. You raised that point. As yet, it's not on here. So, end customer demand. What needs to happen from your point of view to really kick it off there at a larger scale, basically? Maybe start with you again.
Yeah, well,
Raise the topic.
there are some leasing schemes. I was just seen that. This is one very important aspect. We have a very good partner, Hyundai, it's called. They are renting out those hydrogen trucks. So this is a very good way to bring those trucks at zero risk to the end customers, because they can test this infrastructure, they can test the vehicles and to prove that it works. And those companies are also, they are coming at a good timing, because like we all know the general situation we are in, nobody is really wanting to invest. So having a rental company such as Highland enables those customers to test these technologies and to scale it up at a relatively low risk. And this helps us as a company also with the right contracts to build the infrastructure.
Interesting, yeah. Innovative business models also to test. Beat, how would you answer that question? What is needed to spur up end customer demand?
I think my bosses in Korea don't really like that, but I think we need competition. We need to have more bigger European OEMs, not only selling battery electric, milking that cash cow. They have to really focus on what they're doing in the back. What they developing hydrogen trucks. I mean, the announcements of big Marktbegleiter competitors. I would say the announcements are there, but the trucks are not going to come the next 2 or 3 years in big scale. So why should the infrastructure? Why should Falk invest in hydrogen refueling stations when there's today no real offtake? I mean, this is a big question mark. And one other thing is, why does a customer have to test a truck? I mean, you're right, Falk. They're testing the truck, but what do they test? I mean, the technology is ripened. Our trucks, they run for over 10 million kilometers almost, and the technology is there for 20 years. So to me, it looks like a very political approach at the moment. I'm not talking about politics of subsidies, but I'm talking about the politics of the big OEMs actually focusing on battery electric. And we come to an end once a site has to invest in 200 trucks going battery electric, an invest which is most probably doable in the cost, but not in the offtake once all the trucks want to refuel or recharge at the same time. So we need competition. We need to have other big OEMs to prove that the infrastructure which has been built, which are big invests been done in the next couple of months, that those invests are also going to be black one day, not a red minus.
Yeah. Beat, would you say that it's mainly heavy duty and really the large trucks where hydrogen is suitable, or would you also already now advise the OEMs to invest in smaller hydrogen vehicles?
I don't really know. I mean, we are only selling heavy duty trucks, and I've been listening to Rob's. I've been following the presentations. I think the passenger cars doesn't really make sense. The technology today is still too expensive for putting a fuel cell. I mean, you see the Toyota, the Mirai, and the Nexo. They're too expensive, I would say. I'm not. My background is logistics and retail. I've not been grown up as a salesman for trucks, so I'm maybe a bit more open. So what I also see coming from 100 years diesel, the future is not hydrogen. A part of the future is hydrogen, but there is also a 3.5 ton maybe where you have a battery electric solution. There is also maybe some synthetic fuels. So the future is quite bright. We have a bunch of different technologies, but I would say at the moment the accelerator for the technology and for the infrastructure for first is for trucking, for logistics, but the industry will follow if they're not there already.
Okay, good. So we have a couple of questions that we should go into, and the first one, which has raised most of the interest at the moment, is the question of how to store hydrogen at the filling station. What is reasonable? How do you technically do it? Basically, I think
we can
start
share
with you,
that probably.
and
Yeah,
of course,
yeah.
please you to add.
Yeah. Well, we are coming from a phase where our refilling station incorporated local storages. So they had like between 150 and 400 kilograms of storage volumes. This is feasible for these types of stations. When you have larger stations, you need to have so-called trailer swap concepts. In Switzerland, we see concepts where they solely change the containers of hydrogen. In Germany, the path is to swap the whole trailer. So new stations which we are going to build incorporate 2 to 3 of these parking spaces. So at a time you have roughly 2 tons of hydrogen available at 380 bars. So this is a good way to also bring down the logistic costs, which is one of the main price drivers currently with those large, with these small scale stations where you only can leave like 150 kilograms per truck at the station, which is very not feasible.
Yeah, Joachim.
Fully agree. I mean, currently, I think the most of the stations in Germany, they are supplied with gaseous hydrogen and then stored like Falk explained. Another option is, especially if you want to increase the amount of hydrogen stored at the station, is if you take liquid hydrogen. So basically, when you take one of these liquid hydrogen tanks, you can easily store between 2 or 4 tons, which is quite excessive compared to 200 kilograms, for instance. And I think also this technology helps, especially when it comes to heavy-duty applications. So maybe you've heard it. I guess around 2 weeks ago, we were opening a station together with Daimler Truck, where we introduced a new technology, subcooled liquid hydrogen, where you basically fill liquid hydrogen into the truck's tank. And the speciality about this filling is that normally if you take a hydrogen tank, so liquid hydrogen is pretty cold, minus 253 degrees, and inside the tank, on top of the liquid, you typically have a gas, an off gas. And with this new kind of refueling technology, you can recondense this hydrogen gas into liquid, and so you are able to fill a truck in about 10 to 15 minutes, which is comparable to a regular diesel refueling, and the truck can run about 1,000 kilometers, so which is typically needed in the logistics area. So we think this is a pretty good technology where we think is a lot of room also in the heavy duty area.
Okay.
Maybe
Please go ahead.
Maybe to comment on that. I do see the benefits of this technology, yes. But currently, and this is something we really need to be precise, there is only one production facility in Germany for liquid hydrogen. There's two, maybe it's your place. So there is not a very good offer for it. So it's a very centralized infrastructure we are seeing there. And the benefit of gaseous hydrogen is gaseous hydrogen will benefit from all the scaling up in the industry. So we will see the core network in Germany evolve until 2032. And this enables us for the whole industry and also for the mobility sector to benefit from the scale up in the industry, because we would never justify as a mobility sector a complete network in Germany for pipelines. This is done by the industry, and this is something where we can hugely benefit on. This is something I also always tell our customers, don't look at the prices today. We need to start somewhere. We need to test right now, and we need to find a path where we can have an economic, viable and green solutions for the customer, and especially when it comes to larger scale than in the late 2020s and early 30s. But liquid hydrogen, as already explained, has benefits, especially to the station footprint. Probably it's a third of the space that we require at the stations.
Okay. As we're talking about storage, handling of the hydrogen, I was also wondering, how about safety? How do you ensure safety for employees, but customers at the filling stations?
it starts as a core value in a company. And this is something you cannot emphasize enough also in this room here, because what we see in the market, there are many more actors coming to play, which is very good, which is extremely important also for the whole industry. But everybody needs to have really high safety standards, because we cannot allow any incident to happen where people are involved. So this is one of the key drivers also in our company, to have safety as a core value, and this incorporates into every aspect of our operation, to also maybe report incidents in the office somewhere, etc. To not allow the incident to happen at the station when the customer is there, probably. So we need to be very focused on that.
Would you also like to comment?
I mean, fully agree with what was said, and I mean, it's always about the safe handling, whether you handle hydrogen or, from a gases perspective, oxygen or nitrogen. You always have to take the right measures, and then you're handling the equipment safely. So I mean, we are operating with hydrogen over 100 years, and if you take the specific precaution, then these systems are safe. But I agree. Always also in a changing environment, you have to take a look again at the installation, then maybe do a rehab, something like that, in order to be always up to date. But then hydrogen can handle it very, very safe.
Joachim, you brought up the topic, and Falk, you already gave your view. Now, please make your case again. How big will the LH2 be? What part will it have in developing the infrastructure?
I would say at the end it's always depending on the customer and on the needs of the customer. So currently we are using a lot of liquid hydrogen, not in the mobility sector, but in the semiconductor industry, because they need a very high purity, and therefore the need is there, and therefore we are also building production plants, especially for this company area. When we are taking a look here in the mobility sector, I think it's always a bit of hard also in a capex point of view, when you want to develop different infrastructures with different technologies. And so I think, especially in the area of LH2, would be good if there would be a focus on a certain area of mobility, like heavy duty, like for instance in the truck transport area, where you also can create hubs. And then you also don't need to build up too many stations, because mainly the stations will be supplied with gaseous hydrogen, where H Mobility, for instance, building up the network.
And this is a good aspect, because like the LH2 infrastructure for trucks will be much more centralized, because the range is higher. So it will be a similar approach which we have seen with LNG. So you don't need too many stations to have a nationwide coverage. Very focusing on also the corridors, etc. With gaseous hydrogen, and especially current state, you have to have those initial demand concepts, and those will be in the metropolitan areas also. And this is something where we disagree, Bert, to fuel hydrogen cars. In Berlin, we have the largest passenger car fleet with Uber in operation, and they are relatively happy with the infrastructure, because this is their way to convert whole fleets to electric vehicles, because they don't dependent on building up their own charging infrastructure, because that would be the case if you have battery electric cars.
Very interesting. Beat, would you also like to comment on the liquid hydrogen question? I asked the second question again, also for you. That we already see here, and that is, why do the OEMs not agree on one filling option, like 350, 700 bar LH2? That would make the ramp up much easier.
Oh, you're definitely right. In the end, it's the end customer who has to be able to pay the price of liquid 700 or 350. And I mean, looking at our own company, I mean, we work with liquid maybe for drones. There's applications for planes, but for trucks, you might have heard about the 700 bar tractors running in California. This is not because we are not sure which technology for us is the right one. It's just because of in California the 700 bar hydrogen. Gas hydrogen is available, so that's why and it's available within our group, so with our passenger car. For trucking, we have the belief that, and looking at logistics is a penny business. With this in mind, 350 bar, it's the most efficient or least expensive solution to refuel and in the cost side. I mean, looking at a fast ramp up, we should have to have in an ecosystem. We have the production, we have the midstream and the downstream or the offtake. And they all have to have in a very short time they have to have a TCO which does look fair or is not. I mean, the question is do we need long range or do we need a smart system? And I think we have a hub and spoke system in Germany slowly growing on 350 bar, and we make it happen. I believe in the end customer who wants to drive 1,000 kilometers will go for liquid. Yes, fair enough. As I said, there's also some battery applications which will maybe be charged with a fuel cell and a hydrogen solution when the grid doesn't allow to recharge a battery electric trucks. So I mean, our final solution is 350 bar. But what I say today might be different in 2035. We don't know. But today we believe the technology which is okay for us and where we have an infrastructure in Germany, a good infrastructure with H2 mobility, but also others being announced, is 350 bar.
Do the two of you have a view on why the OEMs do not agree on one of these solutions? Falk?
Well, 350 bar is there.
Yeah.
And if you want to bring a truck to the market right now, you can choose either 350 but also 700 bars, because you can fuel a 700 bar truck also at a 350 bar station, no worries. But if you want to postpone a little bit your truck development maybe, then you can also bet on LH2. But as Hyundai said, 350 bars is the easiest to find a TCO competitive business case with in regard to battery trucks. This is something we are very aiming for, because the capacities, the ranges are similar to those battery trucks that are coming to the market in the future, but with a much lower charging time and with a higher load you can payload. Yeah. So we already have a good offer with that.
Okay, good. Beat, somewhat, let's say, blunt question, I would say, but interested anyhow. But with the deletion of funding in Germany, what will be the price strategy of Hyundai in Germany? And maybe I add to it, because it's kind of narrow focused question also. What is maybe Hyundai's plan for Europe anyhow in general?
Well, I cannot announce a reduction of the price at the moment. We have to look at it. I mean, that's all new. We did actually expect it to be like this, or not like this, but a reduction was expected. So we are actually working on we'll introduce the GSR2 model, the new ones, which actually look the same, but internally the safety regulations will be an upgrade. We cannot announce the price at the moment. So that's, but definitely we have to do something. But see, talking to big logistic operators, transport operators, if you ask them what are you interested to pay, or what can you pay more, and then they're like, well, 10-15% more. But selling trucks for 500,000 compared to 110,000. So 110,000 plus 10%, so we are far off. We cannot reduce a technology which is, I mean, the price for a fuel cell stack and the high voltage system, then the tank system, you can't go lower than a certain price. So that's quite a challenge for us. So what we are doing as Hyundai, we're trying to use the last remaining subsidy cases and come with the 100 or 120 trucks this year, which most of them are already sold. We have some left. Then the question is, where do we go? I mean, is it the Netherlands? Paris will be with the Olympics will be an interesting place to be, and then 26 there's Milan with Olympics in Italy. So, I mean, the question is, what do we do? I mean, yes, we have to reduce the price. We have to go where the infrastructure is about to grow. And but we are confident, and having Hyundai as a big mother, we are a bit disappointed, I have to say. I mean, we expected it to be much faster and the ramp up, but we have to, in this case, we just have to be patient and wait for whatever there comes. But we are here for Europe, and there are many potentials at the moment. We're still a very small player in the market.
Okay, good. Thank you. Joachim, don't you think it makes much more sense to produce the hydrogen in the station?
It's a good question, you know. I mean, currently I think the fewest stations worldwide receive hydrogen from on-site production, and typically it's basically more cost intensive. I mean, when I take a look at our big production sites and chemical parks, then you have economy of scale due to the big production units. I think one big issue is if you have a production plant, you normally want to run it steadily at a certain capacity, and you do not want to ramp it up and ramp it down according to your refueling profile. So maybe in the future, I could imagine if you have a large scale station where you really know how your daily demand is, which is continuous, then you could think about maybe installing an on-site electrolyzer, which is covering 60 to 80% of the demand, and the rest still will be trucked in. But when we are taking a look at a typical station in Germany, especially for the cars, then it's basically too cost intensive.
Anything to add?
The last statement was pretty good. So such a hybrid case. So a relatively consistent running electrolyzer in conjunction with the option to bring the hydrogen to the station is probably an interesting case to look at. But one of the main hurdles we currently see is also finding the right grounds for a hydrogen station. Not only because it's hydrogen, but because there are no sites. So we are in competition with battery electric, with many other logistic companies trying to expand. So finding the right sites is a very large hurdle, and integrating then an electrolyzer is pretty intense, because you are then dependent on a high voltage connection, which is not available everywhere. So going to be interesting to see also those hybrid scenarios evolve.
Okay, good. Towards the end, kind of general question, I'd be interested in how you answer that, with which perspective you want to take. So how can companies, I mean, not only logistics companies, but with regard to the logistics function, optimize their supply chain networks by leveraging hydrogen as a clean energy source for manufacturing and distribution? Would you like to start?
Yeah, I'm happy to, because this is basically something we are doing all day for our customers. So just to give you some examples, so basically, how can you use hydrogen as a clean energy source in manufacturing areas, for instance, in plants? Then you can use it for internal logistics systems. So, for instance, we are working together with BMW in their plant in Leipzig, where the intralogistics system for the electric car manufacturing is only running on hydrogen. And there you, of course, have a clean fuel. And on the other hand, compared to electric forklifts, you can use them 24 hours without recharging, which gives them also a lot of productivity. And also what we are seeing more and more, because decarbonization is a huge topic basically for all customers in the industry, is that more and more customers are replacing natural gas with hydrogen. So for instance, in the glass industry, where where you are melting glass to produce it. More and more companies are switching from natural gas to pure hydrogen or to a certain degree of hydrogen just to decarbonize. And I think there's a lot of possibilities where you also can, in industrial processes, really use clean hydrogen for decarbonization.
Okay, good. Falk, do you have a specific idea? Anything on your mind when you see that question?
That's a good one. Well, I talked about finding the right sites for a hydrogen station, and building a hydrogen station right at the border of a logistics center, for example, will result in further benefits. But I'm not going to examine on that right now. You can talk to me on that later. So there, we need to, since you need to find a path to have a good business case, you have to have all the ideas in one place and optimize the whole chain.
Okay. Beat, would you also want to share some idea on that kind of general question we just heard?
Well, we are all pioneers, but we have to stop being pioneers. We have to we have to scale up. So that's one main thing. But still in this pioneer phase, the challenge is that we have to pay the price as well. So that's a bit the challenge when looking at our trucks, at the hydrogen price and the infrastructure. I mean, we cannot. We all have to be aware that might that be in whichever application. When you enter this hydrogen world, it will cost a bit more. But if we don't do that, it will not happen. So that's a bit the fact. And it all starts with the end customer who's not interested to pay 1 cent more for a yogurt. We all have to be aware of that change.
All right. Very final question, please, with a short answer, because we're coming to the end. Start with Beat and go around. Imagine we sit here again next year. What is the one thing that you wish that will have happened until then, Beat?
Clear statement on what's the subsidy scheme for the future, and no dark outlook, but
by the EU
a bright.
Or
by Germany, EU.
By Germany.
I mean, we are for all of Europe, but I'm talking about Germany at the moment.
Okay, thank you, Falk.
Well, having at least 150 Hyundai trucks in operation, some of the first very large-scale stations, which we are currently in commissioning, and thirdly, having trucks on the horizon costing less than 350,000 euros.
Okay, thank you. And Joachim?
Yeah, maybe two things. The one thing is I would like to see more vehicles on the street. Especially also we are interested in hydrogen trucks for operation, and for us, as we are transporting dangerous goods, would be good to have them with an ADR certification, which is still outstanding. And the second thing, like Beat said, I think it's very important that we get security on funding and on the framework condition, because if this is clear and this is strictly set up, then companies will also invest and have the security to do so.
Okay. Thank you very much, gentlemen, here on stage. Thank you very much, everybody in the audience.